I think you hit on something just a second ago when you kind of slipped out of your mouth that narcissists don't apologize.
Mhm.
Tell us about that for a minute. I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, generally speaking, they're not going to take accountability, right? They're not going to say, I'm sorry that my action hurt you. It's going to be something where the next day you're going to go to bed and wake up. And I hear this one all the time. You're going to go to bed and wake up and it's like it didn't happen. And there's never any resolution to whatever it was that occurred. And so I hear that time and time again there was no conversation and resolution to the problem, and so that resentment just builds and builds and builds until at some point there's this, a lot of times explosion of emotion, and that person is finally done with whatever the relationship is because they've never had any resolution to these little things that have happened over the course of probably many years.
Now, one thing I was going to ask about was obviously you hear it, the words thrown out there, the narcissism. What's the cause of it? Is it usually something that develops younger in life, like when you're a kid? Is it something that develops over time? Can you tell us about that?
I don't know that there's a real definitive answer of this is what causes narcissism, but there's been some research that support that childhood trauma does. So, that's a decent indicator, but there's a lot of argument as far as in the clinical community of how this all occurs, and so there's no real definitive answer, and there's not necessarily a treatment that is the gold star treatment that's going to cure it. There's not a medication you can take, to cure it either. So it's going to be, really just cognitive work that somebody puts in to have recognition of this is something that I see that I'm doing, and they're going to have to be very very strong willed in that because they're going to have to face some really difficult truths and realities along the way.
We were talking about, we kept hitting the vein that, people who have narcissistic characteristics don't like to take accountability. Do you see people who have narcissistic tendencies actually go to therapy and admit that I need help?
From time to time, you'll get one every once in a while, but a lot of times couples specifically will come in, and when they're presented with the facts from an outside perspective, it's going to be something that is a lot of times they won't want to come back to therapy for subsequent sessions because now they're having somebody else tell them that these are the things that are happening and they're not okay. And there's not the capability to manipulate as much as they would their partner. And a lot of the times partners are going to be kind of manipulated over the course of time through that gaslighting or whatever tactic they're using, whether it's conscious or not. There's a lot of manipulation that occurs that gets them to potentially excuse or just kind of continue on without any accountability for that partner.